welcome back to another video. It is Christmas week this week, so by the time I upload it, I'm pretty sure it'll probably be sometime around Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all of y'all. We're doing just a couple little things here around the farm. We're not terribly busy, we're just doing little odd ends things. All that rattling, it's just a bunch of these BBs that, I don't know, I probably need to put them in like the bed of the truck because they're getting just a little annoying. But anyways, we're here. I'm checking up on a few pivots. Our goal now, we had like crazy 50, maybe closer to 60 mile an hour wind. It was ridiculous is what it was, but nonetheless, it blew a lot of sand all over the place. It's extremely sandy everywhere. So we now turned on the pivots, but instead of watering the entire pivot, we're just watering the last little bit right here. So we're watering 4 tips at the end, and then we got a big end gun on the end to really get it spraying pretty far, because we want to water the edges of the field as much as what we can. Then we'll come back with an air seeder and then we'll sow wheat on the edges of it, where hopefully that'll stop it from blowing in the future. But we got good pressure in there now. There's about, I think about 30 pounds of pressure in the line. But I'm looking at the pivot over there and I can tell that there's a hose that popped off, and the water probably gonna almost spray my truck. Nope, not quite. But I gotta go fix the hose at the pivot. But before I do that, I'm gonna check on the second pivot here. We turned on 2 of them yesterday, and the way we were able to water just the ends and not the other tips, that's what these little BBs are for. Oh. We took all these little BBs and we stuffed them. We put one in every single nozzle on the entire pivot. That way water would only be able to go to the end of the pivot and not water the rest. That's kind of a cheap man's way of doing it, but it works good that way. We could put little valves on every single one of them, but those little valves get very, very expensive. And I'd rather just stuff it full of BBs, clean them out later once we're done doing it like this, because we'll probably send them around 2-3 times maybe, and then we'll take out the BBs. We'll be good to go. I just want to make sure this pivot is running good. This one's still watering, because this one does not have field net on it, so I don't get a notification if it breaks down. So I do definitely want to make sure that it's still driving, and then I'll go fix that hose at that other pivot. Plus, you know, we save a lot of money not having to turn on every single well just to water the entire pivot, because the field doesn't need to be watered, just the edges where it's completely sandy. So I looked, just as I'm looking out, I thought it was a hose, but it's just a plug. I'm gonna go put a new plug in, and it looks like I got about closer to 40 pounds of pressure in there, which that's actually what I want. I want a little bit more pressure, that way the end gun works a little bit better. So more pressure is always better, but you don't want to overload it with too much pressure, or else you'll start bursting water lines and whatnot. I don't know, it's always risky going, I don't know, anything higher than like 50 pounds. But we've had it quite a little bit high before. There are some pressure relief valves located at quite a few areas, so that should help in case you get too high, but they don't pop open very often. But that's the issue that I'm having. Nice. At least it's not too cold, so I'll just quickly fix that and then be on my way again. Yeah, this is clearly not working. There's too much pressure in the line. I could not get this little plug in there for the life of me, so I'm gonna go relieve some pressure. There's a small valve at the end of the pivot. I'm just gonna quickly go open that, and then hoping that'll reduce the pressure enough. That should anyway. think I do. Oh, let's see it. Would not be surprised if the threads are a little messed up. This should hold, hoping. There we go. Nope, never mind. It's like completely in there lopsided. Or maybe that'll hold. I doubt it. Do I have a different plug? I have a different plug. This is more what's meant for it. So I'm gonna try that one. Messed up. I just don't want to screw in. Might have to resort to different measures. Guess we'll see if that holds. Hope it does. Valve's closed. Now let's go see if it holds this pressure. Well, looks like we're good. Let's hope it stays like that for the next couple of days. On to the next one. Plus, I just barely hit my finger pretty hard, so now my fingernail's kind of wanting to come off. I had bruised it a while back, but now it's kind of in pain a little bit, but I'll try not to hit my finger again too hard. Yep, and the wind's picking up again. But this is where the next pivot we're doing now. We tried turning it on yesterday. We already plugged all the nozzles, but this right here is what happens when you have a lot of pressure and the end gun is trying to spray that way. It just goes down. That's all it does. So we're gonna need to tighten this like crazy till it won't move. We can't put that out facing this way because neighbor has a pivot over there. If we extend any further than this will hit the pivot, the neighbor's pivot. So we can't go further than this. I believe the pivot comes to like right here. So we have to be pretty careful we don't extend this pipe right here. So that's why we have to go slant it that way. But we're gonna tighten this like crazy and then turn this pivot on. Just playing with water. Way too much rust gets stuck up at the end of this pivot, so you end up playing with it for like 30 minutes trying to finally get it to start watering. You open one tip and then the other one's closed, and then you open that one and then the other one's closed. It's just playing, you're just playing back and forth until they're finally all open, until you get enough rust out of the system. That's why we always flush it there at the end to get majority of the rust out of the pivot. I think we're finally good. You're trying to play with water. But I made it work. You made it work? That's a plus. You having fun?
Oh yeah, I love it. think it's spraying far enough. We might hit the road yet. Who knows?
I'm gonna go turn on one more well. I already have three wells running. I'm gonna turn on one more because it's gonna make it wash too much further. I need it to spray further.
Further?
Yep.
Alright.
And I just turned on the last pivot that I'm going to turn on for today. This pivot does not have a lot of water, so I just didn't bother opening tips. The more tips that are closed on this pivot, it's, I don't know, in a way almost better, because I want to get as much water to this last nozzle as what I can. That way this last nozzle will spray as far as what it can. So right now there's enough tips closed to where there's about 25 pounds of pressure in the line. So I think I'll call that good. All right, we're gonna use this air seeder here one of these days. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it to the field that I was at today morning. And then once that pivot is around, once that pivot has watered enough at the edge of the circle, we'll use this air seeder and it'll help make it a little bit more level at the edge of the field. Plus we'll plant a little bit of cover crop, a little bit of rye at the edge, hoping that that'll grow big enough to where it won't blow sand again. And I'm hoping we should be good. I hope we don't have to sand fight or do anything too crazy again like we had to do last year. For some reason, I get a feeling it's going to be a very windy winter. Just brought the air seeder over here, and I'm going to stop by this pivot just to make sure that everything's still working good. I don't see water spraying over there at the pivot again, so that means my plug stayed in place. I just want to make sure that it's still running good, still gonna drive, it's not broken. Very satisfying watching end guns work. This one works. Now just go check up on one more over there, and then I'll check up on the other two that I turned on today, and then I might go home. So this pivot's good, it's still running and working and everything. But I just want to change a few things on the end gun, because I don't know if you can notice, but it's spraying more this last little bit here and not kind of this area right here. So if I just widen the angle that it sprays, it'll come back a little bit further, and then it'll cover a little bit more of this area here. I won't make that so soaking wet. Maybe that'll, because I don't want it to be washing out over there, too much water washing that way. So I'm gonna make a few adjustments here, and then I'll head over to the last pivot to check up on. But as I'm looking here, it's spraying a little bit of water kind of out of the bottom of that end gun right there where it swivels. So it almost looks like it might break one of these days. We've had it happen before where that top piece of that end gun just pops straight up, and then you just have a stream of water just spraying straight up into the air. So we're gonna have to just keep an eye on it, make sure that's not gonna break anytime soon. Yeah, that's much better. Now it's making this area right here a little bit more wet than what it was doing before. It's because that end nozzle only sprays, I don't know if you can see it, about right there. Now this end gun, once it's to either side, it kind of sprays right about right here. So we're getting full coverage, and that's what I want. So this is doing pretty good. Right now there's, I believe, 44 pounds of pressure in the pivot. So this is a half miler, so this water has to travel a long way. It has to follow this line on top there. That's half a mile from the pivot all the way till the end here. And I actually had to turn off a well. I only have 2 wells running so far, and it's just a few nozzles here at the end, and then this big end gun. So it doesn't take a lot of water. It just took forever for the water to finally get to here. It took over an hour until the end gun finally had water, but made it work. It's working good now. So let's go check on that last pivot. And this pivot's good. I'm just gonna double check a few tips right here just while I'm here, because as you can see, that wind kind of made everything a little bit flat, and wheat is trying to grow through. We did plant wheat here, and it's sandy. This is our dirt here in West Texas. If you're curious, it's sand. We farm in sand. Looks like I got a few tips that are a little bit closed. I definitely want to make sure that this last little bit here gets watered very, very well, because we do have our tractor with a seed drill right there. Once this pivot has watered a good area right here, then we're just gonna plant over it one more time. It'll make it a little bit rough. The wheat that is planted there will still grow, and then that will also make it a little bit more, you know, rugged, not smooth. And then the wind hopefully won't blow as much dust, plus planting new wheat, so if any of the wheat did die, we'll have extra wheat that we planted. So that's our goal anyway. So I'll open a few tips. That one's like partially closed. That one over there, I can hear it. It's also partially closed, and there's one closed over there. So I'll close a few tips, or I'll open a few tips, and then I'll head to town because that other end gun looks like it's about to break one of these days. So I'm just gonna, hopefully I make it back to town because it's barely 5 o'clock right now. So I hope I can make it back to town and quickly buy another one. That way, if it does break, we'll have one on hand, because it is close to Christmas season and they might be closed in the next couple of days. So rather safe than sorry, and have one on hand while I think about it. Next morning and checking up on pivots again. Got to make sure that they're still staying running. This is the pivot that had that plug bust out at the middle of the field, but it looks like it's good for today. Didn't pop out again. So on to the next one. Yeah, it's getting windy again. I don't like it. But regardless, pivot is now way over there since yesterday, and because this whole area here is very, very sandy, I can cover a nice big area here now with this wheat drill. Plant quite a bit of wheat, get it not so smooth. Hopefully it doesn't blow again. Much better. It's looking a whole lot better than before. Yeah, I covered a pretty big area here, so that better stop it from blowing, because we got a chance for wind in the next couple of days, and we got to do something about this. We need some sort of cover crop. You can tell here we had a little bit of a wheat stubble here from last year, and it only blew a little bit right here, and that's about it. The rest of the field is fine on that side, but this side, no cover. You really need it. I think I'm gonna go to one more spot. We have a field like 2 miles down that way. I'm gonna do a couple of spots there, and then I'm gonna call that good. Before I go too far around this field, I'm just gonna come back here and double check that none of them are clogged. I don't know, these types of seed drills, yep, they tend to clog, just like I figured. So sometimes there's just stuff stuck in there. Yep, there it comes pouring out. Yeah, this just happens. You have a little bit dirty wheat, so you have a couple of stems and whatnot in there, and then it just ends up clogging. But it looks like, oh, one more. There we go. That should do it. But this right here is what should hopefully solve our problem. Instead of having sand, we'll have a few more clumps like this, and then hopefully that'll help to where the sand will not blow away onto the neighbor's field. And I'm just about done here, so I'll head back to my truck. All right, now I did buy an extra end gun yesterday, so I have this new one right here. I will bring this to the pivot where it needs it, just in case if it does break, because this right here will actually be it for my day, because I'm headed now to town to do a little bit of more Christmas shopping, a little last minute Christmas shopping and stuff like that. So I will be going home right now. It is 12. It is kind of like an early day, but it's fine since it's Christmas week. But I will just quickly bring that to the field. My brother will be around later today evening. He was going to do a few more things here and there. so if it does end up breaking while he's around, he'll have it, because if it's in my truck and it breaks, he doesn't have the tools or the equipment, the extra parts. So I'll bring that and then call that it for today. And I'll just put that right there, and my brother will find it later. Well, that's gonna be it for this video. Pray and hope that it doesn't start blowing wind again. I don't want to deal with all our sand blowing to the neighbor's field and whatnot, so. But that's gonna be it for this video. I do appreciate y'all for watching. Hope you'll have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll see when I'll get this video uploaded, but I'll try to get it sometime by Christmas. But as for now, I'll see you guys in the next video.